There is a sixth dimension beyond that which is known to man. A multiverse as vast as eternity, as timeless as the Infinity Gems. It is the middle ground between the big two and the indie publishers, between sci-fi and mysticism, and it lies between the pages of the reader's imagination. At the summit of entertainment, the dimension of comics, where a humble service is held. We call this service the Gospel of Comics.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I am your host, The Church of Failure, and with me, as always, is my trusty co-host, Ayrton McCartney. How you doing today, buddy?
I've been coughing my lungs out for the last couple hours, so this should be fun.
Oh, good. What have I told you about dying? I mean, it's really against your contract.
Do it. Yeah.
You can't die until you at least provide one clone.
I mean, I'm working on it. But
I don't mean offspring. Your sex life has no bearing on what I'm talking about. Offspring don't count. They can't host a show. I mean, mine tried to, but...
see this... Well, see, the sketchy guy I met in the alley who said he can make a clone keeps saying that he keeps losing the genetic samples, so I have to keep giving him more. So I don't know what's going on with that.
I'm going to need you to stop talking to Rick Sanchez. Anyway, so if anybody has not heard of and Googled the title that we're talking about today, it's a little bit of a doozy. It was recommended by a patron, actually demanded by a patron, is what I'm going to say. He can die as long as he pulls a Jesus for the shows. Yeah, you can die on Monday as long as you're back by the next show, which is Wednesday. So I guess if you... if you schedule it 2 weeks in advance, you can have the extra day. But...
that just sounds too complicated.
Yeah, I would just recommend coming back within 2 days and dying after the show.
All right.
But Sex Criminals is kind of a doozy. It was recommended by a patron, and we're going to be looking over it, discussing it. But before we get into it, I know we've talked about this briefly before, but I feel like it's a conversation that comes up every so often between comic book and superhero enthusiasts. If you could have any superpower in the world, what would it be? And I'll let the chat answer as we discuss our choices, and we'll go through that as well. But I'd like to know, what would your chosen superpower be if you could have one?
Well, before I would say flying or teleportation, but I don't know. The ability in this book is kind of intriguing.
You know, that's the reason I wanted to bring the question up, so thanks for ruining my gag there. But yeah, what would your answer be, though, had you never read this book?
Probably flight.
Really? I don't know. I feel like
Yeah.
kind of boring. I mean, with super strength, you can still do the super leap. Apparently, that seems to be, kind of like a twofer.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. It's but not just Superman flying. I don't want bats wings and shit.
Oh, okay. So you'd be like the Falcon.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of.
I don't know. It's always kind of been hard for me to narrow it down. I feel like it changes every time I think about it, but there's so many X-Men with so many unique abilities, but I always kind of gravitate back towards a Nightcrawler or a Colossus or just something outrageous like that. Just let me coat my entire body in metal and hit things really hard. That seems really awesome. Also, can I be
You would go
Russian?
through a lot of computers that way.
Is that, oh, absolutely, yes. I would probably just stop using them. But,
Yeah.
you got telekinesis and invisibility in the chat, so... No, it would always...
Well, we got Novel Bro said invisibility to do naughty stuff.
No, actually Danielle did. Novel Bro said telekinesis.
Oh, okay. To do naughty stuff.
Probably. Bench pressing with my mind, bring it. I don't think that counts. I'm not sure what the I mean, unless it made your brain bigger and then you could be like the leader. Huh. I don't
That's
know.
an interesting thought.
But yeah, whenever these conversations about what a chosen superpower would be come up, you never hear, yeah, when when I have an orgasm, I'd like to stop time. Wait, what? And that's the premise of the book we're going to be looking at tonight, folks. So, like I said, strap in. It's always be Nate Gray from Age of Apocalypse. Not a world ender, but it's kind of why I like him. The real danger is using his power. Yeah. I mean, Cable has kind of gone back and forth, like in his various iterations. Nate Gray, X-Man, Cable. He's always at some point just perceived as the most Omega level there ever is, but nobody ever takes Onslaught into consideration. But no, I don't know.
Well, and plus, Cable's just all around a badass.
You know, I my wife and I watched Deadpool 2 again today, and I gotta say, the portrayal of Cable was pretty good. Not perfect, not perfectly accurate, but it was, like Josh Brolin did a pretty good Cable. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
So
I like how the marketing for that movie was. It's not going to be as good as the first one.
yeah. So, like I said, tonight we're gonna be looking at Sex Criminals Volume 1. One weird trick, and it's a very strange story. Pretty good. I have no problem with it. This symbol will come back up later in the book. We'll point that out. But this is an Image comic publication by Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. A lot of like this is a narrated comic. This isn't a comic book like a superhero book where it's mostly or first person. What tense is it that you use in like an X-Men book where they're just talking to one another and you're just observing the story? No, you're actually part of this story. Please don't tell me the protagonist is a nonce. No. From what I understand, a nonce is a pedophile. No. That's correct, right? Nonce is a pedo.
Is it?
I think so.
Not familiar with that one.
Yeah. From what I understand,
but,
nonce is...
This story is not about Epstein.
No. Our main character is introduced to basically, I wouldn't even call it ability. The after effect of having an orgasm is that time stops for them, and she enters a place called the Quiet. But we'll get into that. That's pretty much explored pretty early on because you're thrown into the end of the story, and then you kind of catch up to it by the 5th book in the series.
Yeah, it's very time skippy.
Yeah, and there are some very disjointed parts in the story. Like it almost feels like there was a page missing about 3/4 of the way through the book.
Okay, you noticed that too?
Oh no, there's definitely sexual deviancy in the. Yeah, where they were talking about the main time cop at the end of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just kind of broke away. I don't know if that was really a problem with the volume that we read, or if it was just an error. But anyway, you have anything to add about this before we just get into it?
There's a glowing penis.
Weren't you happy that you didn't have to spend a week without seeing a penis in a comic book or a comic book medium?
No, not really.
No, you don't want to thank Danielle for that. Like,
I mean, it hasn't really. No, no, I'm not. No, I don't. I mean, I'll thank her for being a patron, but not for the glowing penis.
well, I will extend my gratitude that Ayrton had to look at a glowing penis this week. I'm extremely grateful for that. I wasn't sure that there was going to be any even partial frontal male nudity in this book. And while I was not excited to witness it myself, I was very happy that Ayrton was going to have to look at it too. So it was a bittersweet thing for me, and I really appreciate that.
See what I do for you people.
See what he does for you. I enjoy tormenting him, and you guys give me the ability to do that. Really, the only one losing here is him. So,
Pretty much.
I mean, let's just keep it going. I like the setup. But no, Novel Bro, to answer your question, yes, there is definitely overall sexual deviancy in this book. And while we might not be able to show most of it on the screen, we will definitely glow dicks, not glow sticks. Fantastic. Fantastic. But anyway, I guess we'll go ahead and get into this. This is broken up into 5 different chapters. Each chapter, I mean, it kind of flows like a normal story, but the difference between this and A Basket Full of Heads is I can probably read this as a one-off issue going out. Because to be completely honest, personally, as my own taste go, I would 100% read every issue of this. This is just fantastic as far as I'm concerned.
Definitely by the end, I wanted to know more. So I will give it that.
But anyway, this is written by Matt Fraction, illustrated by Chip Zdarsky, Becca Kinsey and Christopher Selba on coloring, Thomas Kay on editing, and Drew Gill as the production. The volume 1 is dedicated to anyone, anywhere, at literally any time in human history who ever rubbed one out. You are all the real heroes. And Chip dedicates it to my darling Jessica, wherever you may be. Ah, you were behind me. What the fuck? Chapter 1.
Yeah, I thought that was amusing.
Yeah. Chapter 1 is called Susie Down in the Quiet. And we're introduced to these two being in a bank and basically having sex in the middle of the bank. And you see that colors start glowing as they go at it. And there's a secondary text that almost infers like an intercom or something of that nature. But you see in one of the panels that is someone on a megaphone. And they just keep going at it. Like you do, you know. You turn the faucet on, you're in a public bathroom, you're just getting it on, right? At least you're not out in the shrubbery.
Yeah.
But
you know, I feel like out in the shrubbery would be cleaner than a public restroom.
Absolutely. But, I mean, that's not, and it's not about Epstein. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, I'm just seeing the Twitter comments.
I mean, I thought about saying the Clintons, but I didn't want to get suicided before the show.
Well, as I'm not sure we can show a fully nude male buttocks on an illustration on YouTube, you get a nice shot of them finally entering what you call the quiet, which is how that, I don't know, these two characters go into the space where time is standing still after having an orgasm. Is depicted
it's not.
It's depicted as a bunch of like swirling, glowing lights over the illustrations.
Yeah, it's not really explained what exactly it is. All we know is like time doesn't really move.
Right.
So
and
now,
there's no sound, nothing moves, everyone's like frozen in time.
So now my question is, do you have to use birth control? Because, you know, it like if you go into it like as you're orgasming, like when it shoots out, I mean, we kind of see this in a flashback later. Like it won't like shoot all the way like in it would like the sperm like freeze inside of her and like not get to the ovaries.
It's comics, Ayrton. I don't want to have this discussion right now, but that is a good question.
See, come on, you didn't think about that
I
when you read
did,
it?
but I did, but I assume that in the 25 issues, maybe a pregnancy scare might come up, or they might cover that. I'll give them a pass on the 6 issues because they do cover a lot of ground, or 5 issues because they do cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, they do.
So after these 2 panels, or after these 2 pages where these 2 are having sex in a bathroom, it immediately cuts to her father jumping out of a window or being thrown out of a window or something like that, and how she dealt with
Something
it
with her dad in a window.
and dying. But how she dealt with it, being the sullen kid in class. Oh, how's it going, Matt? But yeah, being the sullen kid in class, going to trick or treat, and using the I'm the girl whose dad just died routine to get a lot of candy. Not that that's a routine, but she makes it out to be like a routine or a gimmick. Uh, you know, Dealing with her mother's drinking, and for the use of a poetic phrase, flowering into womanhood. And she explains that the only time she can get away from her mother crying and drinking is alone in the bathroom with the water running and submerged in the tub. Which, I mean, makes sense. Underwater, sound doesn't, really penetrate through water. So, one thing kind of is implied that this is where she experiences her first gratification, if you will. And time stops.
I love watching you step around these terms.
Don't you? Like, I feel like it's
Highly
an art
entertaining.
form. Like, I should get a medal for it at some point. But anyway,
You really should.
Once she experiences her first release, if you will, time stops and she gets out of the tub, leaves the water running, eventually goes to sleep and wakes up, and her mother has started screaming that the tub is flooded. And so she goes on this investigative journey where she starts like taking notes and keeping a journal and all of these other things where she catalogs like how long she stays quote unquote in the quiet. And then at one point she kind of gets, I don't know, afraid of it because
Confused?
she
Maybe
has
concerned?
she has her first sexual encounter with a guy, and after it's over, she goes into the quiet, and he's still like on top of her with his O face, which is pretty terrifying.
Yeah, that would be weird as fuck.
So she just gets up and like floats around the party or whatever, and she avoids having an orgasm for a long time. And that's when we get to one of my favorite parts of this first act, is when the girl with HPV in the bathroom tries to explain sex to her.
Oh, with all those weird positions, some of which I kind of want to try.
Well, without, I don't.
Can we show an illustration of a bathroom wall doodle?
I don't think. Do you want to test it? Like, I don't think anybody currently on the stream's gonna show, but would the amount of time in the quiet correlate to the strength of the orgasm? The way it's explained for at least the guy is that it lasts until he's ready to have sex again. So as long as he doesn't get another boner.
I mean, I took it as like, there's that cool down period, right? Like you finish
sometimes.
And the girl's like, you want to go again? You're like, you're going to need to give me like at least 5 more minutes and a bottle of water.
Yeah, sometimes. It really depends on the situation, but yeah. I know what you're talking about.
That's kind of how I assumed it was. Like you got that cooldown time.
But yes, we get such classic sexual positions illustrated on a bathroom wall in Sharpie, such as bloobing, swaffling, reverse cowgirl, shrimping, the Dutch microwave, the 3-second rule taco, quisping, E.T. the sex move, the fleshy light switch. Oh God, I just caught that. What that one was. The chocolate McKitten, which I think involves pooping together with your butts pressed against one another.
I mean, can you really be closer to another human being than doing that?
Twerging,
That's like real intimacy right there.
autoerotic twerging, brimping, the candle in the wind, which somehow looks like someone's member being shut into a window. I'm not sure how that's fun for anybody, but we'll go with it. The user agreement, and that's about all she can take. So she, runs out and goes and gets a pap smear like you do, and goes home, lays down under the faucet, and goes back into the quiet and screams at her mother. Then we kind of get a flash forward to current day. She's all graduated and everything, and she's trying to save a library that she works at. Somehow ends up at a party and is introduced to a guy who she becomes immediately infatuated with, called John. Main character's name is Susie, by the way. I'm terrible with names. I don't really ever pay attention to them, unless it's...
Yeah, me either.
But main character's name is Susie. The main male character's name is John. And, they hit it off. And then you kind of get a flash forward through their sexual history. And then they end up having sex, obviously. I can show this one. Again, really, really selective. What I can pull up and what I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot in this book that we can show.
No. A Dutch microwave is it involves a paper bag and over the female's ass with your head there.
It's like a Dutch oven, but smaller.
Yeah. Farting under the cover and trapping. Yeah, the Dutch oven is what Novel Bro described. But
yeah, so it's that just like smaller and quicker.
I really hope, Danielle, that these don't actually exist, but I will put them in the Discord after the show if you remind me, or Ayrton can one. But yeah, let's see here. Where's Oh yeah, there we go. That's the page that I want. It depends on what was eaten. Not half as... Oh, God. Remember, Danielle, you asked for this.
Taco Bell.
You did this to us. Let's see here.
You really did.
Yeah, there we go. Nope. That's got the... I feel like The Shining will take away from it. We'll risk it with this one. We're being dangerous. We're being dangerous, folks. But yeah, the partial full frontal male nudity that I was speaking of, you find out they have sex. They both go to the quote unquote quiet place, which you later find out that John calls Cum World, which I think is absolutely fantastic because
way funnier.
Well, you get the sophistication of a 13, 14-year-old girl calling it the quiet because everything slows down or time stops and it's completely quiet, and then you get the 13-year-old boy who names it after the porn shop that he walks by every day. So, it's just,
which, I mean, wouldn't you?
But, that's also when you find out that dude's dick starts to shine after he enters Cum World. So, this is
So
that's
thank you for that.
yeah, that's chapter one. Um, and I mean, all in all, at this point, it's intriguing and it's actually a really interesting story. But sex in comics has never really been my thing, so without the recommendation, I never would have read this. But after reading this, I'm inclined to finish it just to see what happens because the premise is just way too
Right.
entertaining.
Yeah, it's super off the wall, random, very weird.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I'm still not sure if I liked it
but yeah, chapter one ends up
or if I'm just.
they leave out they leave back out on the mission that the book opened up on, and that's where book two opens up. Go ahead and finish what you were saying. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was gonna say I'm still not sure if I liked it yet, or if I'm just getting tied to this particular type of weirdness from the previous month.
Well, there is a gimp suit with a bunch of like the time police are just outrageously dressed and drawn.
Yeah,
Like for the
there's
most
also
part. Go
there's
ahead.
also a vagina sleeping bag.
I think I just
Did you catch that one?
I glanced completely over that. Where's the vagina sleeping bag?
It's in one of John's flashbacks, I think, in the sex shop.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like
Okay.
I don't know. I started reading all the little signs in the background because they're hilarious, by the way.
Oh
If you
yeah,
glance
up
over
top.
those,
Yeah, the new pussy sleeping bag.
yeah,
$140. So the second chapter is basically a similar format to the first, but it goes through John's past history after giving you a little bit more about the caper that they've gotten themselves into. Um, it definitely appears that they're in the middle of a crime because they both brandish what look to be guns while leaving the bathroom after having sex. And then you find out that they're in a bank trying to steal some money. And there are these three oddly dressed.
the weirdest version of Bonnie and Clyde I've ever seen.
I wouldn't go that far. I watched the Sid Vicious documentary,
Fair enough.
but you get the I guess they're the time sex police. It's very strange, but basically you get a group of people who are also able to exist in the quiet, who are coming after these two because apparently you're not supposed to commit a bunch of crimes when you have this ability. Now, keep in mind, we read 5 issues of this for this show. We still have no fucking idea where this manifests from, how people are able to
Or
access it.
anything.
Is there just what I really want, and I hope this comes to fruition in the next couple of volumes, is that like DC, they just label it a certain kind of force, but they just call it the nut force. And you tap into the nut force and you can stop time every time you have an orgasm.
I mean, it would be a crime if they didn't call it that.
Well,
Right?
especially if they had the idea at least. Like I need to get on the phone with some people tomorrow.
Yeah.
Looks to me like they've been fucking in Elysium. Yeah. A weapon of ass destruction. Shiny like a lightsaber. Alright. But, anyway, Volume 2, like I said, it opens up. You get a little bit more information about the caper they're involved in. Robbing a bank, and that there are some people after them that are not affected by them stopping time. Which kind of makes me wonder, like, do some of these people, like, do they have different triggers? Are these two the only two that are triggered by like mutual orgasms, or does it matter like if you have the ability and someone has an orgasm around you and enters the quiet, do you also enter the quiet?
I think it's just if like you have the orgasm, because
Okay.
doesn't like the weird lady like
Yeah, but at the same
she
time
like
that
gets herself off using like
well,
Kegels
we haven't gotten there
or
yet.
whatever they
I,
say.
I spoiled that in the
Sorry,
Discord, but we haven't gotten there yet.
you did.
But
I don't, I don't know. There's so many questions about how this works.
but I
So
don't
many
mind that they're
would,
not answered. It's not like it's
yeah.
almost like Chew in a way. Like it kind of reminds me of Chew, which I found out today another patron wants us to review Volume 2 for that.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, we will need a Thanksgiving episode.
that is true. That sounds good. I like that. I have to write it down so I don't forget because I'm drinking really good scotch right now. But no, for the most part, issue 2 is the same format as issue 1, but it goes through John's history. He discovers he has a quiet after a Halloween evening. It would be awkward if she didn't get there and he did. Well, it would only be awkward for him. I mean, he just, maybe he could get there. Ooh, could he get her there while he was in the quiet, and then would they trade places and make her feel bad?
Huh. Weird.
That would be funny.
HBO needs to make a TV show out of this instead of
No, Cinemax
instead of the
does.
Watchmen that we're getting.
Oh man, we got a Skinamax special right here, fellas. But anyway, you find out that after Halloween one year when he's taken a severe ass whipping and discovered a folded up pornography image in the woods, he masturbates for the first time and enters what he calls, well, actually, yeah, he masturbates for the first time and enters what he calls cum world. And the reason that he calls it that is because on one of his first outings, I suppose, he
For lack of a better word.
yeah, he enters the quiet, and then runs down to the local porn shop and starts stealing just massive amounts of pornography. Which, I mean, that's totally
if
a
you were
thing
15,
that I feel like
if you were 15 and had that power, wouldn't
Yeah,
you be doing the same thing?
I feel like that's written from experience. You know what I mean? I feel like that was just kind of like a daydream that maybe Chip Zdarsky and Matt Fraction might have had individually or, mutually in separate places where they were just like raging hormonal teenagers just imagining if they could stop time long enough to creep into the porn shop and steal a couple of girly videos. See, kids today, they're never going to know the struggle. They're never going to know the struggle, Ayrton. I mean, it just
They're not.
as soon as you figure out that you're smarter than
the-
your parents.
The
and,
lingerie.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, or there was the lingerie section in the Sears catalog.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're barely old enough to know what that was. I don't think we ever had to succumb to its woes.
Oh no, I definitely looked at a Sears catalog.
Ingenuitive little fucker. Your mom knew why you put it in there.
Huh?
Oh, plot twist, this is a true story and none of us have this ability. I can live with that. I couldn't be trusted with this ability. I'm not even gonna lie. But he eventually figures out how to cancel it out. And it cancels out in the middle of in the middle of the porn store while he's just kind of running amok, just because he discovers his favorite porn star and discovers who it is. And oh god, I gotta find her name because it's just so fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Damn it.
Uh,
Should have wrote that one down.
nah, that would go against what we do on this show.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
being
true.
prepared, it just kind of goes against what I stand for. Jasmine Saint Cocaine.
Yes. Greatest last name of all time.
Greatest porn name of all time. What are you talking about?
I
And
mean, just Saint Cocaine in general is a fantastic name. Doesn't matter if it's in the context of porn or not.
no, yeah. But you know, after realizing what cancels out his ability, he gives a really interesting recount of having to escape the porn store because people can, you know, see him again. And he's just like, well, you cue the Benny Hill music and you get the hell out of Dodge. But,
Oh, which I love that part.
yeah. So, you know, there's a little bit of back and forth and relationship building. These two essentially spend
Which was done like really well.
Yeah.
And very naturally. Like I believed every bit of their like them building that relationship together over like the whatever weekend that they spent together.
Right. It wasn't like too over the top. Like they weren't like automatically like just, oh, we're gonna get married and all this other good shit. It was very natural. You know, it was casual, but you know, you could tell they both liked one another. And then the guy like is like, okay, well, you know, they well, first off, let me not step out of line here. You get another shot of them in the bank, and they, you know, they find the money in the vault, but it's too late or whatever. And that's the end of issue 2, and it takes you right into issue 3, where the story really kind of begins, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like you get a little bit more backstory on John's sexual history and all of that stuff, but that's when they have to separate for the first time after meeting. And then you kind of get a look into his routine and the day job and everything, and you know, what is it? Around 10, 50, or 10, 10, 10, 20 or whatever. He goes into the restroom and squeezes one out, then goes and takes a shit in the boss's potted plant. All the while saying, fuck you and fuck this bank, sir. Let me see, I'm gonna
Which
pull
is
that
why
up, too.
you cannot be trusted with this power.
Absolutely not, no. Under no circumstances. But, absolutely, this is 100% some shit that I would do to somebody. And he explains it later on in the book. I'm going to go ahead and spoil this a little early, but he explains it later on in the book while something more serious is happening. And he's like, look, you know, he could just get rid of the potted plant and alleviate the issue. But, you know,
should we just skip to the? Should we just skip and should you pull up that like bulletin for his work, saying like there's a reward for finding the person that keeps shitting in the potted plant?
Oh man, give me the page number and yeah, I'll pull it up.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep going in the story, but I'll pull it up when we get to it and focus on it.
Yeah. I'll find the page real quick.
You know, they get back together and they go on their second date or whatever. And again, a lot of the conversation in this book is really organic. This power is too great for the typical. I'm not a typical human, and this power is too great for me. But they get back together and they go on their second date to the porn store that gave John his name for the quiet, and they go into a porno booth and have sex, and then just completely run amok in the porno store, rearrange shit, like pose people strangely and suggestively, you know, basically have a good time, but obviously it's petty vandalism. And nobody talks
Page
about it.
109.
Okay. Nobody brings it up. Nobody talks about it. So, in the process of understanding this, they maybe even a little bit before, they're talking about what Susie does for a living, and she's a librarian. She's trying to save as many books as she can because the library is going to be sold, which gives us, kind of more of an understanding of why they're robbing a bank in the future plot thread that's already been revealed. Well, they devise a plan where they're going to rob the money to keep the library open from the bank and then give it back to the bank to keep the library open. They call it a victimless crime, money's insured, all this other good shit. Nobody gets hurt because time stopped. And they immediately go into planning this, and honestly, it makes sense. If time stopped,
Yeah.
if you don't have to. Now, they also get into some interesting things. While they're in the quiet, certain things don't work.
Right, like they have to have sex in the alley outside because a car doesn't work.
Right. And, certain other things don't work as well. I'm not exactly sure what's all included on that list, but they make note of several things not working the same way, like water doesn't flow, fire's still hot, but you can touch it because it's not as hot as it would be in normal. So I feel like, and later on you find out that vibrators, you can arouse someone and knock them out of the quiet using a vibrator.
Which, what a great, I'm thinking of like a fight, two people with like giant dildos as like swords,
Yeah.
trying to like penetrate each other to get them out of the quiet.
I mean, that's essentially the porn parody of Star Wars, isn't it?
I mean, probably.
I'm pretty sure someone's already linked that porno in the Discord.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
But yeah, it's a really interesting story, and like I said, the majority. Oh, I did skip over something that we should cover. There's a really really interesting just little interjection, I guess, at the end of issue 3, where
Oh, the pool hall scene.
where they're talking about committing this crime and planning things and all this other good stuff. And in the midst of that, Susie just starts breaking out in song and singing Fat Bottom Girls.
Well,
What?
yeah, I was gonna say not just any song.
Yeah, she starts breaking out and singing Fat Bottom Girls, and unfortunately they couldn't get the rights to print the lyrics for the song in the book. Which I think is weird. Like, I didn't know that you could copyright the lyrics of a song in a publication like this when used for a narrative purpose. I figured it would be at least transformative. If you just skipped every other verse or something between paneling. I don't know, but anyway, there's an interesting little commentary about that whole back and forth in post-it note form over all the word bubbles. And I just thought that was kind
Which I
of
thought
interesting.
that was
because,
clever.
Yeah. Because again, this book doesn't have the normal like narrative voice. Like this is almost like a narrator talking to you directly, the reader, and explaining their story to you.
Yeah, and it's really weird because like Susie will be in like different costumes depending on like what the background scene is that she's narrating to you.
Right. But you can still always
And
identify
she's
her,
like
which I
talking.
think is, and let me
Yeah.
just put this out there for people that don't know. Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky are actually very well respected members of the comic community as far as their pedigree and their portfolio are concerned. Um, both of them, like Matt Fraction, I know did a pretty decent run on Spider-Man, a couple of titles, I think. And I believe Chip Zdarsky had a pretty prominent role drawing Thor, if I'm not mistaken. Among other things, of course, but those are just the things that stick out the top of my head.
And this.
Huh? What was that?
I said, and this.
Oh, well, it's more than this. We'll look it up after we get done with the review.
I,
But anyway, they do that kind of, and it almost is, having watched Deadpool just today, like I want to say that it's kind of, fourth wall breaking like Deadpool, and it is, but again, this isn't a superhero story. This isn't like it's kind of funny in certain portions where there's jokes and stuff, but I mean this is for all intent and purposes a narrative told in the first person.
yeah, with a really weird, like, I don't know, what would you use fantasy?
Hmm?
Genre? Sci-fi? Like,
Oh yeah,
what
it's
genre
definitely
would you call this? Like, sci-fi
definitely
fantasy sort
yeah,
of thing?
yeah, it's definitely sci-fi, fantasy, all of that. It's just not like action adventure. I mean, it does have action in it, but it's more
Yeah.
of a drama than anything. I feel like, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
And because it deals with the relationships of two people more than any other overarching storyline. Like I feel like the bank robber Bonnie and Clyde thing is just kind of keep it moving, but the main story is these two relationship and having spent their entire life with this unique ability, at least in these 5 issues, having spent their entire life with this
Right.
unique ability and then finding one another and what that escalated into in a short period of time.
Yeah, and thinking that they were the only ones that could do that.
Well, I mean, up to this point, I mean, even though you see the time travelers in the future or whatever, during all the flashbacks, like, we're led to understand that they are the only ones that can do this.
Yeah.
Like, we don't understand until the end that there are others and there's an entire, like, organization set up to keep people like them from fucking up.
And Kegels.
It almost sounds like the series took a lot
Don't
of
forget the
research.
Kegels.
Oh yeah, Kegels. I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, if you're talking about the writer, I wouldn't doubt that it took a lot of research, just in the sense of trying to get the time and place correct, trying to get the ideas like to come across truly. Like, it doesn't feel forced in any real way. Like, it flows really well, even though it's disjointed, which I feel like is an accomplishment. But it's something that Jonathan Hickman pulls off really well, but a lot of other writers can't. But I don't know that Jonathan Hickman could do it like this, or Matt Fraction could do it like Hickman does with superheroes. So I don't think I'd want to read this written by Jonathan Hickman. Somewhere there would be somebody that just snapped and made everything go black. But anyway, after the pool hall scene, they pretty much cement their idea that they're going to rob banks to fund the library, and in the process of that, we get another. All right, buddy. So we'll see you when you get back, or we'll see you tomorrow or Wednesday.
In
We'll
the
figure that out.
Discord or
Oh yeah, we'll be around. But have a good night, man. But anyway, um, they come up with the plan. They fuck around with Come World some more, and then watch the news. And Susie is caught by her roommate Rachel, who you get a little bit of a backstory for, but it's not very important. And Rachel discovers her looking at blueprints, and she just kind of plays it off like a Dungeons and Dragons thing, but Rachel is not impressed. And then this is where it kind of skips. You get a look at the main policewoman for the sex police or whatever, and it's just a very abrupt skip.
yeah, I was super confused. I like flipped back,
But-
like, wait, did I actually accidentally miss a page?
No,
The hell?
but what it was is Susie says, we're super cool, like trying to play off the fact that everything's fine. And she's like, but we weren't cool. And then it explains because the sex police were basically already on to us.
Yeah,
But
so
you don't know.
just that one word.
Yeah. And then you kind of get a shot of their headquarters and who their leader is. And the symbol that I talked about in the beginning that was patterned on the inner cover is the symbol of the sex police, I guess. And, from a designer standpoint, it is a very sexual looking symbol. Just using circles and whatnot. Like, it's very, what's the word?
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's.
Okay.
You don't think that symbol could represent the sexual organs of a female?
That's fair.
Okay. Like, it doesn't look like the opening to a fleshlight to you? And don't lie to me. I know you know what the openings of a fleshlight look like, even if you claim to not own one.
I mean, I did date a girl whose nickname was that in high school, so.
Jesus Christ. I feel sorry for the guy that married the girl whose nickname was Fleshlight in high school.
Or would it be more of a pet name?
I mean, unless he gave it to her. I mean, then that's a match made in heaven, I guess. But, yeah, you get kind of an introduction into who this person is. And, she starts investigating the break-ins or whatever. And then, a few days pass while they're preparing to do stuff. They talk about the things they do while they're in the quiet and have done in their history. It talks about how Susie had a bad experience with a guy who sexually assaulted his ex-girlfriend. So she planted drugs on him in the middle of class and then started the time back.
And
But
lit his backpack on fire.
right, and also drugs had a very interesting effect, and there was a squid. Her arm turned into a squid.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I wasn't happy about that.
glowing penis and squid. But you get to the end and you find out that their plans are going pretty much perfectly. It almost seems like it's too easy. And it makes sense because this guy hates the bank that he works for, which happens to be the chain that they're robbing. This girl hates the bank because it's the bank that her father died at. So, At this point, her roommate is calling in anonymously to report them to the police and happens to get the time cop who also works for dispatch, apparently. Which is a lucky coincidence, I guess.
It's it's probably on purpose, I would assume.
Well, yeah. But that's when the story kind of catches up to the beginning, I suppose, because that's when you find out that, they're in their last big score and the time cops have caught up with them. Now, what we don't know at this point, that's revealed a few pages later, is that the time cops had previously given them a warning that they needed to stop. And they didn't. Oh, no, you do know that at this point, don't you? Do you? No, not quite. You're about to find out, but no, not quite.
No,
You don't.
yeah, it flashes back, I think. Yeah, here.
Right. But, they get knocked out by the Gimp and the Canadian Leaf Mask, I guess. And the Gimp with the boner and the white shorts. But they wake up.
Those outfits are so dumb.
Yeah, they wake up and they're being kidnapped, and luckily Susie knows how to slip the cuffs. The specific type of cuff being used because they come from a sex shop. And then you get a really interesting scene here that I'd like to pull up. But during one of their
the gun.
No, one of their interesting sexual escapades when she learns how to escape the cuffs. John is wearing a Star Trek red shirt and Spider-Man garter leggings with Spider-Man gloves and a gun.
Yeah, very odd combination, but that's what you're into.
Yeah, and the cuffs are called the James bondage cuffs. So I was pretty happy about that.
Are you gonna read the description of those cuffs from the book?
I suppose I could. These police-grade bondage cuffs are made from the most insatiable of cows and coldest of metals, were first unleashed on hippies and queers. That's from the book. It's from the book. That's not my words. Ban Matt Fraction. Inescapable by even the greasiest of fuck pigs. So,
hey, you get to torment me. I really wanted to hear you read that.
well, there you go. I don't worry. I'm gonna make you read the radio play at the end of this book with me. Daniel, this is the patron requested review from Danielle this month. It's called Sex Criminals, and it's degenerate. Enjoy. So, you eventually find out that the sex cop has been onto them and gives them the warning not to keep doing what they're doing because they're being watched. And then that's when you get the scene that I posted in the Discord earlier, where she's giving them the resting bitch face, and Susie's like she's got Kegel face, and then she disappears, and before they realize what's happened, she's blinked out of time and written yes they were Kegels on the tray in front of the guy. So everything's pretty on the nose, but
I'm just curious. Do women make specific when they're
do women make a face when they're doing Kegels? I would not know. I've never asked.
Well, Danielle, do you make a specific face while doing Kegels? We need to know this information.
Oh no, the guy's not in a Canadian bondage mask. That's one of their masks. The bondage mask guy
Oh.
is just a red blob, I guess.
No.
It's kind of
There
confusing.
was
That's
there
their
was a Canadian mask somewhere in this book, though.
that's John's gear.
Oh.
So, uh,
Yeah, it gets confusing.
yeah. So they use a vibrator to basically push the sex police out of the quiet, which I don't understand how that works because only the female was touched, but all three of them were pushed out of the quiet.
Huh.
And the explanation is given is the gun-shaped sex toy saves the day. Apparently, if you're kidnapping sex fascists, that's your dildo jam. And they decided to run, and that's where the volume ends up. But there is some bonus material at the back. They talk about the scripting and the layouts. They talk about the photo swap. They talk about what is it? Another artist or writer. In issue 3, Susie and John partake in viewing of an erotic film called Hard on Fink. Matt, being a fan of his non-erotic spoof, Barton Fink, had just a few more dialogue options for use in the scene, and there's several that just didn't make the cut. You'll lick this picture business, believe me. Okay. I can
There's a
feel
cool,
my butt getting sore already.
There's a cool variant cover in the back there of Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody album with the two of them, and then the Kegel
The
face and
Roommate.
whatever other character
Yeah, that's the third printing
as the
cover.
roommate.
It's a third printing of number
Something.
3. There was a Time magazine
Apparently
cover that
they
was
like
actually pretty
Queen.
good. Yeah, we can look at those. But also, if I ever come across a glowing penis, I'm going to assume the man has some sort of disease.
That's probably wise.
In most
Or
cases,
he
there's not a
fused some of
Kegel
his
face.
DNA, or he fused some of his DNA with those little jellyfish that glow in the dark.
That's a sign of a different kind of disease, Aaron.
Yeah, that's fair.
But let's take a look at these covers because these are pretty good. I didn't look at these when I was reading it earlier. So, yeah, let's see. There's the photo swap cover, the number 1 Forbidden Planet variant. You've got the I don't know, what do you call that? The Funkadelic cover. Then you've got the I think the EH variant is the James Bond Scarface looking one. The Image Sexpo variant.
Oh yeah.
The fourth printing of issue 2, second printing of issue 3, and the third printing of issue 3 with the Bohemian Rhapsody that you were just talking about. And then issue 4, the second printing variant. I was just
Yeah, they were cool.
Chip Zdarsky is the creator of the popular character Stan Lee and inventor of unpopular sex move, the Crying Zdarsky. For the last 10 years, he's been a staff writer and illustrator for the National Post newspaper in Canada. That's where the leaf came from. Okay. Under the clearly made-up name of Steve Murray, where he is known for his dumb stunts and weekly column Extremely Bad Advice. His comic work includes Prison Funnies, Monster Cop, in an award issue of Vampirella. He lived in Toronto. I felt like he'd done more. Matt Fraction writes comic books out in the woods. He won the first ever PEN USA Literary Award for graphic novels. He or comics he's a part of have won Eisners, Harveys, and Eagles, which are like the Oscars, Emmys, and Golden Globes of comic books, and all seem about as likely. He's a New York Times best-selling donkus of things like Hawkeye, Casanova, Satellite Sam. He has Prince's cell phone number. So, I mean, all in all, I really liked it. I'm gonna have to read more of it eventually.
Yeah, talking back through it, I definitely enjoyed it, and I want to know more.
Yeah.
Like, what's up with that weird headquarters?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how does this
How many people are like this?
work?
Yeah, how many people are like this? Like, are they gonna uncover some kind of, like, maybe the people in the Quiet are responsible for Epstein, which is why nobody saw anything. See?
Twist.
I just
Or
broke
Clinton.
I just broke this wide open. Oh, Bill Clinton he definitely got this power.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. If anybody's got this power, it's Slick Willie. But no,
and or Bill Cosby.
While this isn't my usual, like, this isn't something that I would pick up on my own volition, I don't think, just based on the cover selling me and the title or whatever. I'm glad that I had an opportunity to read it. The storytelling was actually really good. I don't feel like
the characterization in particular,
yeah,
is like way better than it should be for a story like this.
Yeah,
with this concept and premise.
Right, the character
they should not have put that much effort into their characters.
Well, it's you know what like the sitcom relationship fallacy is, where the episodic nature of a TV show makes it. Oh yeah, definitely. I agree, Danielle. But the episodic nature of a TV show makes it supremely difficult to ever fully accept a changing dynamic in a relationship on a TV show. Like, if a couple's happy together, they should always seem happy together. Otherwise, you've only got 30 minutes for them to have a disagreement and get it resolved, unless you're getting rid of a character, right?
Right.
Well, these characters went from not knowing one another to banging like rabbits for 4 days to going to that questionable, am I going to see them again kind of phase, to having the I'm concerned about some information you just gave me phase, to we're going to be fugitives from sex cops justice phase. Over the course of 120 pages. And I was there for every second of it. And again, it's not the normal kind of thing that I would enjoy reading, but I really liked it. I think the premise is unique, which is why I started the show out asking about what superpower you would have, because, again, in 32 years of existence, no one's ever said the ability to stop time by having an orgasm. So that came up in a conversation with either Matt Fraction or Chip Zdarsky at some point in their life, and they just wrote it down in a journal somewhere. And they said, we need to write a comic book about this.
I mean, now it's definitely in my top 5.
Oh, absolutely. The limited ability of flight after having sex, basically your whatever superpower you like. I'd like to think that that's where this story goes in 25 issues, that you're introduced to an ensemble of characters who just have a retinue of multiple abilities that only activate after sex. Kind of like Lock and Key had the keys that
You have
activated certain abilities,
right.
but you just, you have
See,
one guy that,
I'm picturing somebody with like a healing factor, like Wolverine, but they have to get off
right.
before it'll kick in.
I've been shot.
So,
Somebody give me a
you know,
blowjob very
you would just
quickly.
beat them by just like cut, like, yeah, like they get both their arms like ripped off. They're like, God damn it, I can't jerk it. Get over here and suck me off now.
You're in the hospital and you're like, no, I'm dying of cancer, but I promise if you give me a blowjob, I'll live. I'm sure you hear this all the time, but I mean, I don't think that's where this is going, but it would be hilarious if it did.
It would be hilarious. Somebody who has super speed after they get off for like until they get horny again.
Oh man, you catch a boner and you just skid across like 5 miles of pavement going 95 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did I run by the bakery? I knew fresh baked goods always gave me a stiffy. But yeah, I mean, it left enough
Yeah,
questions.
there's a lot of degeneracy you could come up with this concept.
Oh yeah, but they don't, and I think that's probably a good thing in the overall arc of storytelling.
Probably.
Like for the most part, I feel like this was played pretty straightforward. It's funny to joke about it, but I feel like they took a concept that was so absurd that you could never take it seriously and be like, yeah, that's probably exactly how that would happen. Cricket, cricket, cricket.
Sorry, I was coughing.
Oh, okay. Likely story.
But yeah, they played the story like weirdly straight, like for how ridiculous of a concept it is.
Daniel,
And I think that almost made it better. The fact that
I'd be careful announcing that you were pleasantly shirtless anytime. I'm sure that's an expression, but don't say that on Twitter. Or your DMs are just going to blow up even more than they already are. I've never heard that term before.
Anyways, yeah, I think they would have. Yeah, I haven't heard that term before either.
Huh.
But yeah, like if they would have made the story like more like ridiculous, over the top, like some of the stuff we've seen with like Chew or the hamsters or something, I don't think it would have worked as well than them taking a ridiculous concept and trying to make like a semi like actual story out of it, as disjointed as it got in some sections.
Right. And, it, like you said, if it would have been something kind of like Chew, again, you can play Chew just as straight. Like, I could understand that, there was maybe a way that someone could taste a food and, get psychic impression. But for the most part, I feel like that would take away from Chew, and treating this like Chew would have been a discredit to this story. The fact that it was played straight, the fact that it had so much character development, the fact that you actually get a feel for who these characters are and how they work together, and you actually, you kind of pull for them as a team. And then, like I said, there's like a relationship conflict near the middle, like middle 2/3 of the book, which is eventually resolved, but and then the actual main, antagonist of the story being the sex police, time police, whatever you want to call them, showing up, adding
I'm just calling him Kegel later. Kegel face.
Kegel face and the Gimps.
That's what I'm calling him. Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with that. But no, that adds more intrigue. That gives you a more solid antagonist and a more, solid. Oh, excuse me. God damn it! Why am I yawning? But it just gives you something that's an antagonist to the storyline, and I really liked the way it was done. It was weird. It was strange, but it wasn't like I don't have any complaints about it. The art was consistent. The color was good. I liked the effect that you were easily able to depict when like when there was a point where they were in the quiet and when they weren't. Everybody was always.
I really like that. I really like that shimmery light effect for when they're in the quiet.
Right, the coloring effect.
Or come world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything bad to say about this. I'm glad I read it. I never would have otherwise.
I mean, except glowing penis and tentacle hand.
And Kegel face.
Yeah. I mean, Kegel face is fairly tame at this point.
So is a glowing penis, let's be honest. But anyway,
just one show, people. Can I have one show with no penises in it?
You did.
I guess there were no penises yesterday. Yeah.
Right. What more do you want
there were
from
no
me?
penises yesterday. I forgot.
But yeah, we definitely appreciate it, Danielle. This was her suggestion. We'll figure out what she wants us to read.
That was a fun one.
I don't know whether she'll want to escalate or continue the cycle, but tune in and find out, I suppose. There is still a little bit of time. I've read some things. After the show last night. I was up for a little while. I read some other books. And I know the books we read yesterday were pretty much all you picked up this week, right?
No, I grabbed some others. I haven't gotten around to reading them yet. But I got like Knights Temporal number 4.
Yep, that's what it's up to.
I think was one of them, and a couple other of those series that I've been following. Archie 1955 number 2.
Oh yeah, I haven't read that one. No, I picked up issue 6 of Deceased and issue 1 of Marvel Zombies Resurrection. So I figured just to close out the Halloween season and all of that we would talk about whether or not zombies are just done. Like, are zombies too overdone at this point?
I've been tired of zombies for like 5 years at this point.
Yeah, I mean, The Walking Dead finished. I feel like Robert Kirkman took the money and run when he saw that the well was running dry. But we got Zombieland 2 just coming out within the last couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that movie.
The revival of Marvel Zombies. You've got Deceased basically being a zombie tale, but in a different vein. I feel like Deceased kind of has a better claim because this is their first kind of foray into this. I mean, it's not, but it is. During 50...
And Deceased kind of sounds better than Marvel Zombies.
Well, yeah, but Marvel Zombies...
Makes me think of like Muppet Babies or something like that.
Well, Marvel Zombies been around for a long time, though.
Yeah, with the title, though, is kind of, it's not that good.
I'm Brecht in the chat says zombies are fucking boring. Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. Like I feel like
Yeah.
it's just it's a tired storytelling trope. Like it's a cautionary tale at this point. If you want to see zombies done in an entertaining way, watch Warm Bodies. That shit was hilarious. Zombies are boring now. Even Zombieland 2 had to escalate their zombie plot to make it more exciting. I haven't seen that yet, but I can imagine. Because Zombieland 1 was decent. I liked it. But it didn't need a sequel. Like, that movie was done. It ended. I don't want to find out how those characters died because that's the next step in their hero's quest is to die in a zombie apocalypse. One by one in a miserable, hellish fashion.
Which can be entertaining if done right.
Well, yeah, but that's not the story they're going to tell in Zombieland 2. I'm almost certain of it. But to revive Marvel Zombies, I mean, I think it's too much. Like, maybe just don't. Yeah, maybe just don't. Because from what I understand, there's like 4 series of Marvel Zombies. I've read most, if not all of it. And DC, I mean, they're already putting a secondary story arc of that, but that's just kind of what DC does at this point. And it's not fair to call DC's a zombie book outright. Like they're never zombies per se. They're ravenous monsters controlled by the anti-life equation. So they're zombies for lack of a
So
better
they're
word.
zombies.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, they're zombies.
Right. I'm gonna have to go. Watch Warm Bodies. My wife really likes it. I've never seen it, but she says it's really good. So, I hated Marvel Zombies the first time around. To be honest, the only part was the Ash versus Marvel Zombies. Yeah, that was a good one. I don't know. I enjoyed the premise. I enjoyed some of the stories.
I do like Headpool.
Yeah, Headpool was awesome. And I like the fact that the zombies ate Galactus and Silver Surfer to absorb the power cosmic.
They did some other weird stuff like that too.
Oh yeah, the Council of Reeds. It was all Marvel Zombies.
Oh yeah.
For those that don't know, there is an extra-dimensional council of Reed Richardses from multiple universes that collaborate together when the universes are threatened. It's utterly terrifying.
It's pretty wonderful.
Because the only good one out of the bunch is our Reed Richards, and even he's morally questionable at best.
Yeah.
One thing that I have found out about Deceased, though, if Batman gets bitten, you're fucked. Like, you just hang saving the world up. You're stuck to relying on the likes of John Constantine and Blue Beetle and Booster Gold at that point. Which is where Deceased: A Good Day to Die comes in. But
I mean, Blue Beetle can be useful.
I think so. But no. Like I said, I don't mind zombie stories. It just all of the other things that are coming out that are much more interesting right now, it just kind of overshadow zombies. Like Marvel Zombies, I feel like it was kind of a ploy. It's like, okay, it's Halloween, we got to put something out. So they put another issue of Marvel Zombies out that I don't know is a miniseries. It may be. I haven't actually finished the issue yet because it was the least interesting one that I picked up this week. But
yeah, I mean, overall, I'm sick of zombies. Like, make them go away. Like, do something else, people.
Now, what do you think caused that, though? Do you think that the mass market success of shit like The Walking Dead was?
Yeah, probably. which I never really did get into that show. Like I saw a few episodes. I was like, that's all right, but I never
keep vamping for just a
understood the
minute.
hype.
Keep going for just a second.
What was
I'll be
that?
right back.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I never understood the hype really of the zombie stuff in general. I mean, there's like like the Evil Dead movies and stuff. Those are the comedy like B movies. I like those, but I guess serious zombie stuff I never really understood. They're kind of a shit monster, really, if you think about it.
Well,
They kind of like just stumble around. They fall apart easily. They're decaying bodies. They're not that scary of a monster.
I think you can look at a franchise like Resident Evil or Silent Hill or something like that, and the growing escalation of difficulty in the villain that was the main antagonist of the story. Because if you think about like Resident Evil 1, the majority of zombies you faced were just slow, creeping, mindless, enduring, but ultimately weak and slow and threatless zombies. Most of which you could just kind of run around and avoid. You didn't even have to shoot them unless you just didn't want to have to deal with them again later. Um, but like the main problem of Resident Evil was constantly having to backtrack and conserve ammunition. Like ammunition conservation was your main enemy in Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 2, they gave you more bullets, but they upped the ante by introducing multiple like hunter and what they called lickers, which were advanced zombies that were more lethal and were quicker and took more shots and were more aggressive.
And were made by Bill Clinton.
Yes.
Okay.
And, obviously the advent of introducing more tyrant interactions in Resident Evil 3 all throughout the game. You would just randomly encounter Nemesis, which was the final boss as well, but all throughout the game he would just randomly show up to fuck your shit up. And it'd just be like, if you're not carrying a grenade launcher or a shotgun, you better kiss your ass goodnight. You're going to have to run away from this cocksucker. But
yeah, I think overall they're just kind of they're a shit monster. I mean,
that's what
how they were done in like I Am Legend, I think is a little bit more intriguing, more of like a mutation than like the dead coming back to life.
Those are vampires, Bob. Those are more vampires than zombies.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of ambiguous what they are. They're a little zombie-ish, like they hoard, right?
So do zombies in Blade. Or so do vampires in Blade.
All you need to do is just surround your house by treadmills and turn them on high, facing out, and then the zombies can't get you. So just step on and get shot back.
I mean, yeah.
You can just sit there with a drink and a coconut with a little umbrella and some sunglasses and just watch the zombies get thrown back by the treadmills. You're good.
Well, that's kind of the point that I was trying to make with the Resident Evil analogy, is that when you have a monster that's supposed to be your big bad, or your main threat or whatever, you shouldn't have to constantly up the ante and escalate in order to keep telling a story in that genre.
Yeah.
But, the idea, because from what I understand, doesn't the idea of a zombie originally, like, come from, like, voodoo and shit? Like, taking control
It comes
of one
from,
corpse?
I think the Haitian, like, folk religion, I think it's Haiti.
Voodoo or some shit, right?
But it's not really... Yeah, kind of, but it's not like bringing people... It's not like bringing the dead back to life. It's more of like hypnotism, mind control sort of thing.
It's enthralling the living, and that's where the terror comes from, is that you could be the zombie, not that you might have to kill the zombie. And I think that's been lost in the genre over time.
Right.
Like, the constant threat of becoming a zombie isn't what you're scared of anymore. It's the hordes of zombies and the being eaten by a zombie or whatever. Nobody's scared
Right.
of becoming the zombie. Everybody's the hero of their own story, so we've kind of lost what the point of a zombie movie is, I think. Or a zombie story in that
Yeah.
regard is, but I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure like that kind of zombie story was ever like really in the mainstream that I know of.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure it's
I feel like that's the trope of the classic terror of a zombie, though, isn't it? Is the potential to become a zombie?
yeah.
Because, like I
I
said,
mean,
if you
I
if you
guess
have
I
a
meant in
if,
like the voodoo context.
well, like you said, if you have a shit monster, like you're not scared of having to fight that monster, you're scared of becoming that monster. And I think that that's how The Walking Dead kind of saved itself early on, is that they basically pointed out that if you live in this world, you're going to become a zombie when you die. Regardless of how you die. Like, you could die peacefully in your own bed, but you're still going to be a zombie. So,
Yeah.
and I think that was the more terrifying part of that. But even that didn't, like, I never found myself scared of the concept of a zombie growing up. It was fun. I
Mhm.
enjoyed it, but it's never been something to incite fear in me.
Right. Yeah. Now, if I saw some like creature like missing an arm and like limping like down my driveway towards my house, I'd be like, what the fuck? If I saw some like crazy like medicine man or like voodoo priestess or something with like a fucking like cow skull over their face and like a grass skirt like shaking weird baton things to like drum music around a fire that's colored green,
Yeah.
that I would be terrified about.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I might I might do a little dance if if I was ever confronted with the idea of a zombie actually confronting me, just because I'd be like, yay, I get to shoot at something finally from my home. I don't have to go to the range to discharge my firearm. But yeah, that's just me.
I have a
I have
I have a four wheeler with with a big steel plow on it. I'd probably just use that.
yeah, that seems good. Maybe put some spikes on it over time.
Yeah.
We got zombies on spikes. But I don't
Fresh
know.
spike zombie, get him while they're hot.
I don't know, because I didn't see any zombies this year for Halloween. You never do. I did see some vampires. I saw some werewolves.
Really?
hmm Saw Frankenstein or two. Mostly babies in that one though. Probably because it's a nice
I
warm
thought people
outfit.
didn't do. I thought people didn't do those costumes anymore.
What, classic costumes are never going out of style, man. And they currently
Uh,
are the cheapest ones because nobody gets them.
that's a good
So,
point.
yeah. Oh, I did see two chicks dressed up as Wayne and Garth from Wayne's World the other day. That was interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, I was the only one that got it. I was like, let's see.
Doesn't
Red
that make you
hat.
feel old?
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. Guitar Hero guitar, drumsticks, and a blonde wig. Wayne and Garth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were a few years where me and my bass player, uh, were like had gone to Halloween parties, and we definitely did like Wayne and Garth, Jake and Elwood.
Oh yeah.
Um, forget we did one other one too. I don't remember. Worked out nice though because he's like 6 inches taller than me with really long blonde hair. So the Wayne and Garth one was like perfect.
I mean, Danielle's trying to keep you alive, but I would go against her advice and I would actually put it in armor plating in case somebody may happen to train the zombies to shoot firearms, because that would make them deadly. I want to make zombies scary again.
How dare you?
What do you mean you've given a zombie a shotgun? Well, he wasn't getting to me any quicker, and
No,
I could out power walk him.
No, I got it. Zombie monkeys with shotguns.
Oh yeah, that's a comic book idea right there.
See, now that's terrifying.
I think we could even get a theme song going. Zombie monkeys with shotguns. I mean, it'd just be Galactic Rodents of Mayhem with different lyrics.
I mean, aren't all of those songs basically just the same song with different lyrics?
Church 2020, make zombies scary again. Well, I guess I know what I'm getting my next hat to say. My Medicare hat's almost bit the dust, so I need a new one anyway, so. Make zombies scary again. My zombies will be huge. We'll have giant zombies from Game of Thrones. We'll have the White Walkers. Only the White Walkers, though. The rest of the walkers got to go over the wall. Oh, that's the worst.
How dare you?
Oh yeah,
I don't have the actual sound bite. I forgot to get the actual sound bite queued up for tonight.
My campaign would be dead in the water within like 2 minutes.
I used to think like I could never run for office, but now I think I kind of could.
Mr. Church, what are your campaign promises? Well, Andrew Yang's giving everybody $1,000. I'm going to send everybody a quarter bag of weed and a bottle of scotch. Because that's what they're going to buy with the $1,000 anyway. I'm going to send it weekly instead of monthly, so you'll never fuck up and run out.
See, my campaign slogan would be whatever it is, I'm against it.
That's right. That's right. Man, get off my lawn. I'm out shooting my bow and riding a motorcycle. I don't have time for this. Mr. McCartney,
I just veto everything. What is this? It looks like it costs money. No.
That'd be your re-election campaign, right? Veto everything.
Yeah. Does it cost money?
Nothing.
No, we're not doing it. Get out of my face.
What do you plan to accomplish during your presidency? Not spending any money.
Yeah, not a damn thing.
Also send them a link to the channel. That's right. If I ever get elected, I don't know. I'll have to.
Might have to actually show our faces. Have the Oval Office, in the background.
Oh, fuck that. I'm just going to have a mask made up of the church's face. I'm going to wear that. Goddamn president. What are you talking about?
During the entire campaign.
Yeah, 100%. The artist formerly known as Church.
Look for my campaign 2020.
That's right.
I'll just release shirts that just say no.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Just Grumpy Cat.
No. Yeah. Well, Ron Swanson, Grumpy Cat. Like, you gotta get the mustache.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Just say no. McCartney 2020.
Well, you gotta be my running mate. Like, we can't run against one another.
That's true. And make the show awkward.
I mean,
And you know what I didn't like about this comic was this thing I don't like about dirty communists.
oh, I was playing Magic the other night, and this is a quick aside. I was playing Magic the other night, and I was partnered up with somebody, and I can't remember what we were talking about. I think it was something about music or movies or something. It was some pop culture reference from 20 or 30 years ago. And I said something about it, and everybody else at the table except my assigned partner in the multiplayer format that we were playing didn't get it. And I just raised my hand and I said, "Judge, I can't play with a communist." Oh no, Danielle, that already exists. It's the Green Party. They're the party of comic books, weed, and free money. Andrew Yang just got lost
Yeah.
on the way.
It's probably because he asked a woman for directions.
That's fucked up.
Not
But
wrong.
a little bit. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay, go here. It's right next to this place. You know where this place is, right? Yeah. Okay, so it's right past that as you're going south. Hey, I'm over by this other place that's like 3 miles south of where I'm supposed to be. I don't see it. Yeah, well, you got to turn around now, and it's going to be on your left.
3
Anyways.
clicks east. Wait a goddamn minute. That's not directions. What am I on, a boat? Why are you giving me directions in nautical miles?
I should start doing that to people. Wait, which direction's north? Oh, fuck you.
Wait a minute. Wait, why are you giving me directions in light years? What do you mean I need to go into hyperdrive? What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm just trying to get to
Yeah.
Starbucks, you asshole.
Go 12 parsecs. Do galactic northeast
That's right.
for about 13 light years, and it'll be on your right.
3 clicks east. Anyway, that's how I get people
What do you
to buy
not?
comics.
Do you not give directions in north, south, east, and west?
No, I don't.
Oh,
No, I like to imagine myself in a car and pretend like I'm driving there with my hands while I'm giving directions, so I can remember how to make the turns. It makes me feel so stupid, but it's the only way that I can remember how to get actually anywhere.
I mean, you have roads that are actually like a straight line though down there, right?
No, there is no grid system here.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
Yeah.
say because there's a bunch of small lakes around here. None of our roads go straight for more than a couple of miles. And you have to like go around a lake, and then it jogs and changes name. But if you turn right, it's the same road. But if you keep following the road you're on, it's a different road.
Yeah,
It's really confusing.
That's
That's-
totally how it goes here too.
Okay.
Uh,
It's a pain in the ass. It's
Very
funny though
much so.
watching people come up from the city where it is a grid system right around here. It's
how did
hilarious.
How did we get here from zombies?
I have no idea.
I've had too much scotch to remember.
Oh,
I
no.
don't.
Oh, I made a joke about women and directions, and it just kind of devolved from there.
Oh yeah, okay, politics somehow. Okay. Trump train, choo choo. But no. Anyway, going forward, to kind of wrap everything back up. It's almost about that time, so I think we can close up. We went for almost 3 hours last night. We can close out about 10 minutes early tonight, I think. But Yeah, it didn't make any sense last night. I will tell this quick story. I got off last night and I was like, okay, well I still have a full glass of scotch. I'm gonna finish that and I'll be in bed. It was about 1:15, 1:20 when we finished the show. So
Yeah,
I
something
listened to
like that.
I listened to a little bit of Racket Stream from Friday. I watch a couple of archery YouTube videos because apparently following you or being a member of your channel or something suggests that I should watch archery videos even though you don't have any on your channel.
Yeah, that's weird.
Do you watch archery videos on YouTube?
No, not really, because most of those people are annoying. There's like one review channel that I'll watch, like for like different bows and types of arrows and stuff.
Oh
but
no, dude.
that's about
There's this like Ukrainian Russian type dude. I don't know what he is exactly, but he's got a really thick accent, and his name is
Lars
like,
Lars
his name
Anderson.
it's like George or Jorge or Georgie or some shit, but it's with a J. And he apparently makes magazines for manual bows.
Interesting.
It was very interesting. He makes magazines and laser sights for standard like recurve bows and shit. And he made one for like an English
You
longbow.
should send that to me.
Oh well, but it was interesting as fuck. And he built a device that you can load 6 arrows into, and if it's loaded up, you can release 6 arrows accurately, all on target, in 14 seconds.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Because my fastest is 12 arrows in a minute.
that's pretty goddamn fast. But you, what do you use? Is it like a compound bow?
They call it a lever action bow. It's a compound recurve hybrid.
Okay. But
It's a really weird bow.
yeah. But this thing, and I'm sure he's built a magazine that'll actually work on it. But yeah, basically you can load 6 arrows into this thing at a time, and it's an attachment that you physically tie to the bow, and you just pull the string back from within it, the string clips into the bow or into the clip, and you pull the string back in it.
Oh, okay.
It knocks the bow itself, or it knocks the arrow itself, and then you just let go, and you don't even have the worry of string bite because of the way the attachment catches the string.
Yeah, you really need to send it to me. That sounds really cool. Because I do have a recurve bow too.
But I just thought that was interesting, so I fell down that rabbit hole, and I got to thinking, man, I haven't watched anything. Like, I don't know where, like, it feels like I've been watching for over an hour, but it's only 1:45, and then I was like, wait a minute. Daylight savings time. I just got my hour back. Fuck yeah. Because I do, man. Every year, every year from spring, I just bitch. I was like, I want my fucking hour back. Like every time we spring forward,
I always forget it's a thing.
Every time we spring forward that 1 hour, I get irrationally mad for like 6 months until they give me my goddamn hour back. And I'm gonna show my age one more time, but if anybody remembers the old Nickelodeon show Pete and Pete,
Oh yeah.
or Erie, Indiana, both of those shows had a show about being upset about daylight savings time. So that was, as the kids these days call it, that was big mood. I'm hip.
Please never say that again.
All right.
Way too awkward with your accent.
All right, cool beans. Well, all right.
Hey, at least mine is age appropriate.
We'll start throwing stones in glass houses, motherfucker. You want to do this? I don't give a shit if I have to roll around down in the mud as long as I bring you down with me, motherfucker.
Isn't that the whole point of the show?
I think so. I'm glad. I'm glad you understand as well as I do. I'm just waiting for you to show up one day. Like, yeah, I found something to review, and I just look at it, and I'm like, no, I can't. And you're like, wait a minute, you owe me this.
Now, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, church, no. Oh wait, Indiana. Oh, that's right. Indiana doesn't have daylight savings time anymore.
Really? When did that happen?
I don't know. Probably after the episode
Only
of
good thing
Erie, Indiana.
Only good thing about Indiana.
Yeah, there's Pawnee, where Parks and Rec was filmed.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, you have to drive through it to get to Chicago.
There's nothing good about Chicago. Maybe the pizza.
I don't know. No, the pizza's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
but there's a lot of blues clubs.
Yeah, those could be anywhere else. But anyway,
I like Chicago. Anyways,
thanks Danielle again. 15 years ago, she says. So yeah, that would be shortly after the time that I saw that episode of whatever it was. It'd be within 10 years of that. So I wasn't wrong. I just wasn't accurate. But yeah, thanks Danielle for the suggestion. We look forward to the next one. We'll be looking at Chew 2 coming up later this month, probably closer to Thanksgiving, like Ayrton said. As we get closer to the holidays, we will figure out what the holiday schedule is going to be. Obviously,
it's probably going to be a bit sporadic.
Yeah, I am a family guy. Hopefully, we will, slow down long enough in between now and then to actually record some videos. I have just been so goddamn busy lately. It is my prerogative and whatnot, but anyway, thanks everybody
we might need to just continue to just do streams for the time being.
No, I want to get the videos going. We should do them. Like, it's not going to be hard once we get into it. It's just getting into it.
Yeah.
I mean,
getting the time set aside.
Yeah.
But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, folks. We always do.
We'll get
usually.
There. Anyway, thanks again, everybody, for coming out. Have a great evening, and we will see you next time.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. I was like, wait, are you just going to stop? Or